Instant fun. When I got my hands on the Kirby and the Forgotten Land demo, the game was instantly fun. The graphics were vibrant, the music sounded fantastic and had me humming along, and like so many other Hale games like Paper Mario, the humor was there too, and in parts it had me smiling and laughing out loud. Now that the full game is here, would that still be how I felt about everything? Would it get even better, or would something completely destroy the experience? Well, I can say that I had a ball with this game, and especially around World 3, an amusement park world with some sections in particular having a very huge wink to another Nintendo GameCube game of all things, and finding myself humming along to the theme, especially in the levels ever so reminiscent of Mario Galaxy's Gusty Garden Galaxy theme, I knew Hale had come up with something pretty special, even if it's a bit on the short side. Especially the first theme, and my favorite in the game you hear in Kirby, is a very fun and whimsical tune that sets you out on your big adventure. Kirby and Pales have been swept away mysteriously into this forgotten land, and Kirby must rescue the WyldEyed with the help of Elfilin, or something, or if you're playing two-player, with the help of this bandana-wearing WyldEyed who likes to use a spear. It's cool and simple stuff for a fun and charming game. Oftentimes I found myself smiling or laughing at the subtle humor that Hale peppered throughout the game, which is no surprise since we're talking about the team that makes the Paper Mario series, which has made me laugh out loud several times throughout the years. Graphically, Kirby has some outstanding environments. If you played the demo, it gave you a taste of the first few levels, and even as I very over-caffeinatedly gushed about it in my Kirby demo video, and about how it reminded me of The Last of Us as many people on the interwebs were saying, that's not a pattern that is really prevalent throughout the game. There's use of that vibe here and there, but the worlds have a great variety between them, which is a good thing in my book. You'll go from that Last of Us type first few levels to a very watery world not only reminiscent to Super Mario Sunshine, but with what's in my opinion a pretty huge nod and wink to that game. Which leads to the thought many people had. Is this game Super Mario Odyssey 2, or a spiritual successor of sorts to Odyssey? In a word, no. If you're looking for a comparison, then Super Mario 3D World is much closer, as this is a very linear platformer with very few and far between areas that have any real openness to them. Aside from the nice looking environments, there are some cool fur effects going on in some of the cutscenes, but it's much more noticeable in the cutscenes than on the in-game models to me. Some of the large bosses especially look great, and the later worlds in the game prove especially impressive with nice use of lighting. It also made me smirk every time they had Kirby's eyes go a little bonkers, kind of a Toon Link vibe going on there. The bonus levels have a great colorful hue to them as well, and all of these levels are presented in a very clean system through the use of the small WyldEyed town, which you can visit any time to play a few mini-games, sleep in Kirby's house and refill your life, and watch the WyldEyeds rebuild the town, which is a great way to incentivize you to actually save the WyldEyeds throughout the levels. The overworld map doesn't really do anything new or revolutionary, and that I think is just fine, as this is not an overly complicated platformer, just a pretty fun one, again even if it's on the shorter side. As far as the actual gameplay, controlling Kirby is a breeze. No pun intended on the so-called Spring Breeze mode, which I found far too easy, so I played through the game on the Wild mode. Kirby by himself doesn't have an expansive moveset. You can run around, jump, slide around, and you suck. I mean Kirby sucks. Quite literally. Alright, bad pun. But Kirby's awesome. Okay, moving on. There are plenty of copy abilities. Again, people thought this was like Mario Odyssey for some reason, but honestly, Kirby's been doing the copy thing for a long time now, long before Mario Odyssey, so it's not really a good comparison, I think. Anyway, there are many copy abilities in the game, from being able to breathe fire, to drilling through the ground, to gaining the power of ice and skating around and freezing your enemies, swords, boomerangs, bombs, and even the ranger guns. There is plenty for Kirby to use here, and inhaling an enemy one after the other proves to be a fun and easy transition between these abilities. So, how do they actually control? Honestly, really smoothly. It's very easy to transition between all of them, whether you're using a sword and then all of a sudden you see an enemy that has a fire ability that you can steal. It's very simple. You inhale an enemy, you get the new ability, boom, you're off and running. So as you go through the levels, you can also collect blueprints and rare stones, and together you can take these to the local blacksmith in WyldEyed Town and evolve these abilities. The bombs can become chain bombs and even homing bombs. The ranger guns can become noble ranger guns, just faster paced. Regular fire can be upgraded to volcano fire, and probably my personal favorite, dragon fire. There are lots of possibilities, and you can even choose to use a prior version of the ability if you really want to. All of this is fun to do, and you can get these rare stones which you need to unlock the abilities and all of these bonus levels that open up to you as you progress. The bonus levels are easy enough to do, yeah, even on wild mode, and again, it's a great incentive that the game gives you to actually go and do something. Not that any of it is a chore, as I had a great time throughout the entire game. And if you're having trouble on a boss or something, you can always try out a different ability. I did this on a couple of occasions and always had fun with the boss fights, even on the so-called wild mode, which honestly I didn't find all that difficult. I didn't collect all the WyldEyed, and I've said it before, I'm not a completionist style of gamer, but I think I will give this game a replay at some point down the line, and maybe I'll go back for any of the WyldEyed or any content I missed, or try upgrading the other abilities I didn't really care about the first time. In the main levels, you'll oftentimes find yourself face to face with a mini-boss, and I generally never found them too challenging, and they are sometimes reused throughout other levels if I could gripe about one thing, so that unfortunately does get to be a little bit of a copy-paste pattern, but the main bosses are definitely way more fun and almost presented in a Zelda-like fashion, or having a grand entrance for them followed by a title call and description. Clawrow line I found especially hilarious. As you might expect, in the last world especially, the levels take on more of a climactic feel, and overall it's a well put together, fairly linear platformer. There's lots of variety between the worlds, the later levels really ramp up the action, and it's easy to see potential for future Kirby titles, whether Hale Laboratory goes an RPG route in the vein of Paper Mario, or a full 3D title, more like Super Mario Odyssey. There's a lot of cheeky humor to it. Several of the audio tracks I would love to hear performed in an actual orchestra. Seriously, if any of you get a chance to go see video games live, or the Zelda Symphony or Final Fantasy Symphonies, I would definitely take it. I have been to video games live and Zelda twice each, and they were well worth it. Anyway, if you still have that lingering question, is the game better than Mario Odyssey? These are two vastly different games. Is it better than Super Mario 3D World? Honestly, I'm not sure. I wouldn't say it blows it away, and I'm not sure I would say vice versa, but it would be a much fairer comparison. But on its own merit, at the end of the day, Kirby and the Forgotten Land is a fun and solid linear platformer, with enough lighthearted humor and whimsical music to keep you going through the 6 worlds it has to offer. If you go in expecting a lengthy campaign, you might be disappointed, but if you're looking for a diversion from whatever else you might be playing for maybe 10 or 15 hours or so, then Kirby is going to have you covered. Especially toward the later levels, look forward to tons of graphical eye candy as it becomes quite a spectacle, and I thought to myself, somebody's been watching some Marvel movies over there lately in the last couple of levels, just in terms of the action and everything happening on screen. The important thing at the end of the day is that I had a blast playing Kirby and the Forgotten Land. It was just fun. Although it's short-lived, I can't help but wonder if the game might drag on too much with a couple of extra worlds, but at the same time there's plenty of replay value to go back, collect things, look for hidden rooms, or just play around in WyldEyed Town. And though it didn't quite turn out to be Kirby meets The Last of Us through the entire game, this is a solid title that Hale put a lot of love into, and it shows. If you've been playing Kirby, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Don't forget to click subscribe, like and share the video, and I will be back soon, I think. I have a lot going on. Bye for now.